Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I greet you even as I welcome you to this teaching titled, Developing the Leader Within You. It is known that the success or failure of every nation, every organization, every society, even the church, rests on its leadership. The strategic importance of leadership cannot be overemphasized. Today, we shall be looking at developing your personal leadership. That is developing the leader within you. Some principles that you need to harness, some principles that you need to develop, and some qualities that you must embrace in order to develop your leadership. That is the leader within you. To grow is not the same as to develop. It is quite common to assume growth as being the same with development. Growth in the leadership construct is an unconscious act. Just like weeds, they grow anywhere without guidance. Every child instinctively grows, but every child does not instinctively develop. To grow therefore speaks to an unconscious transaction. A child that is born simply needs to eat to grow. But if a child or a man or a woman wants to develop, you must be conscious of the things that you do. Several years ago, I used to have six-pack. I was ripped. I go to the gym at least 4 times in a week. I had some muscles. But after some years, I let myself go, and then I started developing fat in unpleasant places. But when I looked at myself and I said, no, this is not the image or the shape that I want to have, and I want to develop muscles, I had to go back to the gym. Just like anything that you want to achieve, you must discipline yourself. You must develop yourself, and development is that conscious effort you put in achieving whatever goals you set to achieve. And so development is not by chance or happenstance. It is something you do deliberately and consistently. However, for the sake and the purpose of this teaching, we'll look at the principles of leadership and some beliefs or myths people have about leadership. And some of these myths or beliefs include, but not limited to, the following. Some people believe that leadership is exclusive, reserved for a special people. It is esoteric. It is not something that is open to everybody. But that is not true. There can be no further truth from that. Leadership essentially is about influence. Every man, every woman, everyone that God has created has the potential of becoming a leader, but not everyone will be leaders. Leadership is not exclusive to a few people. Everyone can be a leader. Everyone can influence someone. However, some have defined leadership in different ways. Leadership in an organization essentially might mean those that have been selected or called to strategically align the vision with their goals, or their goals with their vision, whichever way you want to slice it or dice it. Number two, or some beliefs that people have about leadership, is that it has to do with the position that you hold in an organization. That you have to be called a CEO, you have to be called a manager, you have to be called a director. That leadership is all about the title that you have. Sadly, that has robbed a lot of people from their leadership potentials, because they are waiting to be conferred with a title before they can begin to exercise their leadership potentials or their abilities to rule or to reign or to live a life that embraces the concepts and the constructs of leadership. So leadership, in a nutshell, has nothing to do with the title. Because there are people that are called the de facto leaders, DEFACTO. These are people that work in the background of every organization, or in some nations. Sometimes they are the ones that influence the decisions of the company, but they have no title. If you mess with such people, they can almost destroy the vision of the church, or the vision of the organization, or even the society. They don't have titles, but they wield a huge influence in any organization. So another myth people have is that leadership has to do with material possessions. You must be rich. You must have flashy cars. You must wear designer clothes. You must be like 6'2". You must have that edge, that aura to make you a leader. That's not true. You must live in a fine house. You must speak in a certain way. You must be educated, as in, you must have gone to colleges that when they call your name, the titles or the prefix before your name or even after your name must be huge. No, that is not leadership. Some also believe that the more money you have and the possessions like the bling bling that you have makes you a leader. Now, if such beliefs were true, the likes of Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and Martin Luther King wouldn't be called leaders. Because if you look at their financial possessions or their material wealth, it is nothing to write home about. Yet, years, decades after their death, we still speak about their leadership impact in humanity. So leadership is not about material possession. Put in mind that leadership, as regards this teaching, is all about influence. There's another myth people have. Some people believe that leadership is about your personality or your personal attributes. Now, while this can help when we speak about charisma and character, there is a place for charisma, but lack of charisma does not undermine your leadership ability. But if you have that charisma, it is an enhancer. So leadership is not about your personality. Another myth some people have is that leadership is inborn. You must be born a leader. Such beliefs are held by people or the school of thought that subscribe to the notion that leadership is natured. You have to be born with leadership. They posit that you are either a born leader or not, as in you are born with leadership traits or leadership DNA. Do you know that sometimes, because of your wealth of knowledge and your wealth of experience, when you see or you come in a gathering where people begin to misconcept or misplace the true definition of leadership, it takes a lot of discipline to be quiet and not engage in such discussions. And that is one of the traits of leadership, to have discipline, the ability to say no. We'll talk about that as we go deeper into this discussion. Now, the truth is that leadership is both nurtured and natured. You can be born with leadership traits, and you can also develop leadership traits, the principles of leadership. These are not the wishy-washy, attributes that we think we can just glean by, how many followers we have on social media. Because you have 20,000 or 1 million followers, it makes you a leader. No. Because those same people don't know you. Your followers don't even know you. All they see is what you portray to them. In leadership speaks about you are vulnerable, but in your vulnerability, there is strength. The strength that makes you strong in hard times. The times don't make you don't wane, you don't go with the flow. You are strong, you are fixed in your convictions. Now, having said all of that, we will briefly look at some principles, but in the course of subsequent teachings, I'll be dealing extensively with each of these nuggets or these principles that helps us develop the leadership within us, your own personal leadership, your style of leadership, using that which you are given to amplify that which you are called to give to the world. Now, some of these principles include: 1, purpose. I will not delve so much into purpose in the course, like I said earlier, in the course of this teachings and discussions. I'll go deep into what it means, what purpose is, the definition, some of the abuses we have assigned to purpose, and what purpose is not that we say it is. Purpose is that which you are called to do, that which you are called to be. Leaders are people of purpose. They are guided by the power of purpose. They know the reason why they do what they do. They know why they are here on earth. No matter how lucrative an incentive is, they are resolved to do only that which enhances their purpose, their goal, their drive. Purpose is not your career. Purpose is not your job. Purpose is the why you do the things you do. The late Miles Monroe, was known to quote that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse essentially becomes inevitable. In other words, when you don't know the purpose why you are here, you will abuse yourself. He also said that abuse comes from 2 words: ab, which is abnormal, then usage. When you don't know the purpose of a thing, there is an abnormal usage of that thing. I'll give you a very simple example. If I give a $1 bill to a 6-month-old baby, that baby has a tendency to take that bill, that money, and put in his mouth or her mouth. But if I take that same $1 bill and give it to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, that child knows that I can use this money to get something from the store, either a candy or, a chocolate or whatever it is that child wants to buy. So once you understand why something is created or made or manufactured, there is a propensity for you to maximize its usage. The next principle in developing the leader within you, or the leader that you are born to be or you are developing to be, is that you must have a vision. Leadership vision is not the ability to look at the way things are. Every man can look at the way things are and analyze, but it takes vision to look at the way things are supposed to be and carry a people alongside with you to achieve that which you can see but they cannot see. Vision of leadership is huge. While purpose is the why something is done, or why something is created, or why a person is born, vision is the image of the why in pictures. What you can see. When in the Bible says, my eyes have seen the Lord, he's not saying he has seen God physically, but he has seen the manifestation, the sweet aroma, the essence of God in manifestation. And then he said, my eyes have seen. Vision transcends sight. It is not limited to sight at all. That is why great leaders, when they speak, they don't speak of the now, they speak into the future. Leaders look into the future. They see what is possible. And that is why leaders must develop disciplined imagination. The kind of imagination that will cause little minds to quake. That will cause little minds to say, it cannot be done. But because you have developed that vision, sink or swim, live or die, you will say, this I saw, this I know I can do. And that is why in leadership there's what we call the leadership mindset. Leaders are not followers. They began as followers, but they end up as leaders. You can be a leader. In fact, Everything God put in you speaks to leadership. The question I ask, would you develop that, or you hide it in a napkin? The psalmist says, David is one of my favorite leaders of all times. Leadership is not exclusive to Christianity, it's not exclusive to a religion. Leadership cuts across a wide spectrum. David said in Psalm 57 verse 7, he said, my heart is fixed. Oh God, my heart is fixed. In other words, he has the mindset that, oh my goodness, I get excited when I talk about the vision of a leader, because it guides you, it guards you, it leads you, it gives you that intestinal fortitude that will make you say, regardless, I have seen. Listen to what Martin Luther King said. He said, I have a dream. I have seen the promised land. It was figurative, but in essence, there is a reality to vision. But later on, I'll talk extensively, and in details about the vision of leadership, developing a vision. Now, another principle is discipline. Life, people say, happens. People say life is not fair. I sometimes think, well, that has been a statement that we have accepted for years, for decades, for centuries, that life is not fair. The thing is, life is neutral. Men and women are not fair. But life is neither fair or unfair. It's just like a child that is born. A child that is born is like an open book. Whatever they do or whatever they become are things that they learned along the way. So life unveils to us different challenges, and in order to overcome the challenges of life and develop the leader within you, you must be disciplined. You cannot truly be successful and be an effective leader without discipline. There are teachings that tells us on what to do to be successful. But there is a propensity to look at what we must do or be in order to be successful, whilst we seldom focus on what leaders should not do. Oh, what does it? 10 steps, or you have to do this, you have to do that to be successful. Yes, it's all good, all good. How about what you're not supposed to do? That takes discipline. Because discipline is not just knowing what to do. Discipline is knowing what not to do, especially the things that does not align with your vision or your focus or your purpose. You have to be disciplined to say no. A friend of mine told me several years ago, he said, because you have the money to buy something doesn't mean you must buy it. Because you are in a position to say something to somebody, because you know the person cannot get back at you, you just say it. Discipline is learning what to do, how to do it, and knowing what to do and when not to do it. Subsequent teachings, I would expatiate on this. Another principle is conviction. Leaders are men and women of convictions. They are willing to die for their convictions, regardless of their oppositions. Their convictions are so strong that they would rather die than give up on that which they believe in. If for a morsel of bread or for a little pleasure you give up your conviction, then your leadership is suspect. I like the way the Bible puts it, when we face adversity and then we give up. It only speaks to how strong your convictions are. For you to develop your leadership principles, or the leadership or the leader within you, you must be a person of conviction. The Bible says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Another principle that we'll look at is values. One of the greatest principles of developing your personal leadership is that you must have values. Values are essential principles or standards that governs us. In life or in relations, what we hold dear, what is worthy of our time, or what we call useful are the things that forms our values. Life is what you value and you're not willing to compromise on. Another principle is dedication. Because leaders are more into growth and development of others, their dedication transcends loyalty. I'll explain that in another teaching. They are not swayed from their convictions. The principles that governs conviction comes from experience, study, and revelation. You must develop the lion's mentality. A lion does not turn away when small dogs bark because he's dedicated. He doesn't get carried away with the rave of the moment. When I talk about dedication, you'll be surprised at how people confuse loyalty with dedication, but that will be up for another teaching. Another principle is grit. Leaders must develop that grit. It is that tenacity to stick it through, what some people call stickability. The greatest leader of all times, Jesus Christ, was consistent in all his ways. He had that grit. It is that consistency that makes you firm in everything that you do. You have firmness of mind and spirit. It is the resolve to go the whole yard. It is that thing in you that won't give up until success is achieved. Sink or swim, live or die, you stay the whole yard. You don't give up. Whether it is popular, whether what you believe in is popular or what you believe in is not popular, you stick with it. But there is a caveat here. In developing grit, once you discover that what you are pursuing is not manifesting, you have to go back and ask yourself. You do not change your goal, but you can change or alter how you go about achieving your goals. But you must have that grit. You can't afford to give up. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these few principles that I have just highlighted on briefly, if you can begin to assimilate this and inject this and inoculate this into your system, into your mindset, you'll be amazed at the level of success you will achieve. I just want to thank you for your time. I know that you could have been somewhere else, but you chose to watch this video or this clip either on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching it on. I must say to you, thank you so much. You'll be hearing from me very soon as I talk about all of these principles in details. Thank you so much.